hopefully be not so late. Well, like I said, my time's always wrong. Like it just now says it's 6:32, so I'm behind.
Oh, you're not too far off. Mine's got 6:33, so.
Oh, well, good. Usually I'm like way behind everyone else and it makes me feel bad. But so that makes me feel better. I'm not that far behind then.
She's working on joining. She's having some technical difficulties, so we could probably just go ahead and get started, and she can join in.
Okay, that'll be fine. Well, I would like to welcome everyone to our March 18th Pendleton County Board of Education. I'm sorry, our Pendleton County Public Library Board meeting. It is 6:35 my time, so we'll call the meeting to order. Is there anything we need to add to our agenda?
I don't have anything.
Okay, all right. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the February 18th, 2021 board meeting?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second? All right, thank you. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, the minutes are approved as written. Let's move on to our treasurer's report, please.
So we had a starting balance of $1,875,822. Our income for February was $91,070. Our expenses were $53,487, leaving us with an ending balance on February 28th of $1,913,405.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the February check register and the financial report?
I'll approve it.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, let's move on to our heritage CDs, please.
All right, so first, just an update. We moved the CD for $69,710 into the new 12-month CD at Heritage Bank. The interest rate ended up being 0.35%, which was a little bit lower than what we discussed at the last meeting. But that's just the rates change sometimes, and just between that time, they went down a little bit. We have one CD that's getting ready to mature on April 1st. So I called and got some rates. Of course, Heritage is still the best. If we let the CD renew, it would renew at 182 days, and that would be at 0.25%. If we wanted to change the length of time for it, 91 days is at 0.20%, and 12 months is at 0.35%. They're all fairly close. I don't know if it's worth increasing to a 12-month time period. It may just be best to let it renew, but that's your all's decision.
Well, if you want to keep it that way, that's fine. I mean, you always like to make a little extra, but if you don't feel it's that much, just leave it go then.
That's what I was gonna say. I think just letting it renew should be.
Right.
All right, so do we just need to make a motion to renew the CD then?
Yeah.
I'll
Okay,
make a motion.
all
I
right. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to our librarian's report, please.
So for our statistics, our stats are still down. This is the last month where we're comparing a full pandemic month to a full normal month. So next month's going to be split as we shut down last year on March 17th compared to being open drive-through this year. So that might be a little bit closer. To kind of give you an idea of actually how successful our activity kits and our local history programs have been, you can look at the average attendees per program stat, which actually shows an increase of 207%. So for 6 programs, we had 344 people participating in that compared to 50 programs and 933 people. So that really kind of shows how great of a job everybody's doing on those. Our history program in February was on Charity Southgate, and we had 61 participants in that program. To highlight some upcoming programs in April, we'll be doing Laugh, led by Craig Harris, which is going to trace music and comedy from Jack Benny and the Marx Brothers all the way up to COVID parodies today. So that should be kind of a fun program. Our history program, Fran's going to be doing a walk through Falmouth to do a tour of historical churches. For maintenance, Cintas came and repaired the sump pump and the outside pit. We're still getting, sorry, excuse me. We're still getting daily trouble alarms. So they're working on troubleshooting why that's still happening. SECO completed the light project, so we're finished with that. It looks much brighter in the library now. DeBra Kemple changed filters and did the quarterly maintenance. They found a faulty contractor on the backup pump and they've completed those repairs. We just noticed today, the mechanical room, one of our mechanical rooms, there's a very loud noise coming from that. So we're probably going to have DeBra Kemple come back again and see what else is wrong. For painting, one, I want to apologize that this is just taking so long. This has been kind of a frustrating adventure, but we're painting now, so that's great. They're working on getting everything cut in. It's Extra Mile out of Cynthiana is who's doing it, and they estimate that they should have it done by March 26th. For professional activities, I'm still attending the regional directors meetings and the CWC meetings. Tanya is attending the virtual youth meetings. And Kelly is also attending now. They're doing a new Workforce and Adult Services meeting through KDLA. For summer reading, we are, instead of going with the national theme like we have in the past, they've kind of been getting a little bit more cheesier each year, and the graphics just really aren't that great. So we're going with our own theme, and this is going to be a permanent theme moving forward, and it's called Readers Are Leaders. We're set to run this year from June 1st through July 16th. We're going to have the Cincinnati Circus Company come do a drive-through circus at the fairgrounds. So this should be a really cool program. They're going to have aerial acrobats, a wheel of death, a fire performer, and a stilt walker. So it's going to be really cool. We're super excited about that.
That sounds super, super incredible.
Yes, and we're already advertising it. We're hoping that it's just going to be a huge event. I did just to kind of gauge how things were going by hour, by day. I did a review of our activities. So people coming into the library, people going out of the library, and also just our average circulation by hour. So you see a heat map there that shows the full year before the pandemic started. And then also average circulation for October. So the hours are pretty strong. We extended our Friday night hours and our Saturday night hours in 2018. So that really was a good move based on the stats. Let's see. We have now, for document destruction, we have 3 containers in the library. So when we reopen, people will be able to bring in items that they want to have shredded and put those in those containers. They're placed around the library. Until we reopen, if they want to, they can come through the drive-through and drop off materials, and staff can put those in the boxes for them. We are doing, the AARP volunteers are doing tax assistance at the library. They're doing that on every Monday, and it is by appointment. They've extended it to with the extension of the due date for when taxes are due. So they'll do that all the way through May 15th, I think. Okay, you all should have gotten a financial disclosure statement. This would have come from the Northern Kentucky Regional Ethics Authority, requesting that the financial disclosure statement be filled out and completed. If you haven't done that, make sure you do that and get that in the mail.
Did you get mine that I dropped off? I didn't know if I should mail it or you mailed them all together.
I did get it, and I dropped it in the mail for you.
Okay. I guess I owe you 50 cents then.
No, it was no postage. It came with a prepaid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're good. Let's see. So our laptops and hotspots are finally available to check out. All 5 of the individual laptops are ready. We are still troubleshooting 2 out of 5 of the workforce kits. That's something we're having to get LibSynergy to help us with that. And we have the 3 hotspots with the Libraries Transforming Communities grant are also available. When I checked yesterday, I forgot to check today, but we had checked out 2 of the hotspots already and 1 of the workforce kits. That's also something we're trying to really heavily push and advertise, just to make sure everybody's aware that we are offering that now. And that is all that I have from my report.
Okay. Do we have anything for the regional report?
It gives some information about KPLA. They're doing the spring conference virtually this year. If anybody's interested in attending that, let me know. Registration ends Monday and I can get you signed up if you're interested. And then it gives some information about KDLA's new workforce and adult services consultant, who's leading the meetings that Kelly's attending that we talked about. And that's about it.
Okay. Let's move on to the old business, the long range plan.
All right. So pretty much our consensus at the last meeting, I think, was to hold off on going through the process to create a whole new long-range plan. So what's kind of up for discussion and consideration tonight is, do we want to just leave things as they are, or do we want to specifically with the third goal in our current long range plan, do we want to adjust the due dates for the action items under that goal, and move forward with that? So moving forward with that would be evaluating if and how we might want to add on to the current building. You know, there are some things that, you know, we could add on that would be highly beneficial to our community. Smaller study rooms, makerspace, things like that. More storage. They told us when we first moved into this library that it wouldn't be a year and we would need more storage. And that's absolutely the case. So that's really the question for you all is, if you want to move forward with that, or if you want to just kind of hold off and revisit that with a new long range plan.
I think, I think long range plan is right now because we're not open yet. But anyways, where would you add on? Let's like, is it back? Is it forward? I mean, the room there seems like it'd be hard to like. There's blacktop on one side, the front's kind of like short, and the back side is the only spot looks like any room.
So the way they designed the building and the land is so that we would be able to add on to either side. So basically we would have less grassy area between the building and the parking lot and less of a grassy area between the building and the drive-through lane where that wraps around. Like the HVAC, the kind of the ADA compliant type things, those are all, when we built this building, were put in with the realization that at some point we probably would add on. So our HVAC system is currently larger than what our building currently requires, because it was built to add on. So that was kind of all not planned out, you know, an exact expansion, but the room to be able to do that when they designed this building.
Melissa, does the building have a basement to it?
It does not, no.
Now, would that, whichever side down the road in the long range plan, if you decided, do you think it'd be feasible to put a basement underneath that part just for the simple fact of storage, or you don't, you know, whatever you think? You know, I'm not telling you what to do or anything. I'm just thinking maybe storage space or something like that.
Right. And I'll tell you, I don't have a clue. That would be something that we would have to consult with, with an actual architecture who has that expertise that I don't have.
The only reason I said that is because if you need new space for like study rooms and everything, you'd hate to waste some of the new building, at least I would, for storage, you know what I'm saying? A
Sure.
lot of storage, but if it's not feasible, it's not feasible, I mean.
Right, and that's hard to say right now.
So if we move forward, is something we could vote on as like a blueprint of the building? What you guys like to do, to have a blueprint set out so we kind of know the price or cost or what's going to happen to that. And I don't know about the basement, but I think like where you are in a floodplain there, maybe basements isn't quite what's the best of that situation. But I mean, I don't know everything about Falmouth.
No, I don't think we're in the floodplain there.
That's one of the main reasons why we built here. That was our one specific demand when we were looking at a location for a new library, is that it had to be outside of the floodplain, because we definitely didn't want to have to go through what we had to go through back in '97. So kind of how this would work is, if we wanted to move forward with it, we'd want to hire a consulting architect. That would kind of be our second step. Our first step would be to create a committee to kind of get some ideas of what we would want to do. Do we want to add smaller meeting spaces or a maker space, or what's our wish list? So then we would hire an architect to consult with on that, evaluate our current space. Are there things that we could change in our current space to be able to make room for certain things, or would it require actually adding on to the physical building? So the architect would be able to evaluate that and really figure out what actually is possible. And then from there, it would just be moving forward, looking at our budget. We have the reserve money for construction. So then it would be working with Chip Sutherland, with Bard, to see how the finances would work, if we would need to do additional bonds, or the more technical side of it. So there's kind of that process that we would go through.
My goal would be that if we move forward with that, is to definitely find a plan to keep the library open during that, because if you are going to build on the side with the grass, that is the front door of the library. So I guess we'd have to switch to like coming through the offices, or add a door somewhere else, because it kind of like would put a situation where we're going to be building in the front part of the library where everyone enters. And I hate to right now close the library down again just for construction purposes if that was the case, but
Right. And I would imagine we wouldn't need to, but that would definitely be something that we would want to take into consideration. Absolutely. So the question kind of remains, do we want to move forward with this, or hold off?
I mean, I kind of defer to you. My only concern,
Mhm.
and of course, I guess this would be a long process before anything ever actually happened.
Absolutely.
My only concern is the optics of looking like we've been shut down and then immediately starting what's gonna, I mean, to be frank, what's gonna appear to be an expensive project. And obviously we know our financial status, but I do just want to be, aware of how that might be perceived in the community right now. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I just don't want people to be like, they raised our taxes, now they're adding on and, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever you think is best is fine by me, but I do just want to mention that could be something we run into.
Mhm.
Is there a way to, because I feel like what she's saying is that the library's not open yet, and then we're gonna come right into like building, right? So it's like, I'd rather table this for like 6 months. Is that too long to say, to decide that if the library's open, everything's flowing well and everything's working good, people are coming back, and then decide like, yeah, now we're going to like add on to the library?
Yeah, and that wouldn't be a problem whatsoever. And as far as the construction part of it, I can't say with 100% certainty, but I would imagine that would be at least a couple years down the road, because there's a whole lot of
Oh yeah, the pre-plan part is
meetings and- yes.
that, like I said, I kind of defer to what everybody else wants to do. We can work on that now. We can table it and visit it, in a month or two, or even farther if other people want to. I mean, I do think that's a direction we need to be heading.
Mhm.
It's up to everybody how quick they want to get that ball rolling.
Okay, so one thing that I can do is I can take what we currently have and alter the dates. Let's say we would plan to wrong page. We would plan to create a space planning committee by January 1st, 2022.
And that kind of leaves it open for any time between now and then, right?
Right, exactly. Okay. So I'll do that. I'll come up with kind of a new outline on dates and present that next month. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah,
Sounds
that
great.
sounds good.
Okay.
I think that sounds good. So let me ask this, Melissa, are we okay then to just leave it as it is, or do we need to make a motion that we table this until next month when you present?
We can leave it as it is.
Okay.
We'll reflect on the minutes that I'll work on revising the dates and bringing that back to you all next month.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we can move on to our new business then, our policy review, please.
All right. So I've got some of our leave policies here. Really, most of the changes, you look at the sick leave policy and it looks like a lot. But most of them are really just a matter of clarification and creating some consistency between the three policies, some terminology edits. So I've learned that when it comes to leave, you do not want to use the term earned, you want to use the term accrued, because that gives you the legal ability to be able to say, this is how much we're willing to pay out, to say, this is how much we're capping this at, and you stop accruing at this point. Earned, and especially with the sick leave. So for example, our sick leave policy, we can accrue up to 960 hours. According to our sick leave policy, we will, upon termination of employment, we will pay out only 192 hours. So if you say that time is earned, you have to pay out everything that's remaining. If you say that it's accrued, you can say, we're only paying out so much of this. So that's what a lot of that is. It does also add that we would require a minimum of a 2-week notice to pay out remaining sick leave. So if someone were to just up and quit without notice, they wouldn't get that sick leave paid. Um, we do request in our resignation policy that full-time staff give a 4-week notice. And that's pretty standard in the library world. But I put it at requiring a minimum of a 2-week notice in the policy, just because that's more standard in the broader range. If you're changing jobs, you typically give, your new employer expects that you're going to have to at least give a 2-week notice, not necessarily a 4-week notice. For the vacation leave policy, under accruals is where most of the changes are. The schedule, I just changed that to be a little bit more straightforward. It doesn't actually change anything and how we do anything, because we've never accrued leave by pay period. I'm not sure why it was put in there like that, but we've never done that. It's always been by month. So that just kind of clarifies that. One change is allowing the use of vacation leave to be used in 1-hour increments instead of 4-hour increments. That could be handy if somebody's going out of town on the weekend and they just need to leave, an hour earlier or something. And then switching to a cap. I know I've mentioned this a few times in the past, I think. But the way it is now is when we hit June 30, the end of our fiscal year, if we have remaining vacation time, we can carry over half of what we earn. Anything that we can't carry over is lost. So during our busiest time in the middle of summer reading, you have a whole bunch of people rushing to take vacation leave. And it really it makes things hard. So a cap would be able to spread that out. So once you reach the cap, you would either stop accruing until you use some of the leave, and then you could start accruing more. So if you, and what we set that cap at is ultimately that's your all's decision. And I've got a few alternate options in here. But if you take what someone earns if they've worked at the library for over 15 years, that's 16 hours per month. And under our current policy, if they don't use any of that leave, they can carry over half of it. If they take no vacation for 2 years, the maximum amount of leave that they could ever have would be 288 hours. So that kind of keeps that cap consistent with what our current policy is. Some alternatives would be to maybe round that up to 300 hours. And looking at what other libraries do, I've seen anything from like 160 hours to 420. You can also set a cap higher, but then choose to only pay out a portion of that upon termination of employment. One other kind of major change with the vacation leave policy is service credit. So the way the current policy is when a part-time employee moves to full-time status, they don't get any credit for time worked already at the library. So this is just kind of a more of a incentive for part-time staff. So that if they get promoted to full-time status, It would be a simple equation. So for every 2,080 hours that they work, that would translate to 1 year worked as full-time status. 2,080 hours is how many hours a full-time person works in a year. It doesn't, it doesn't give them additional vacation. It just lets them start earning more vacation a little bit sooner. And then the last change is requiring the minimum 2-week notice. And that's really about it. Is there any discussion or questions on any of that?
Nope, I think it's clear.
Now, the only thing I have, is there anything, I mean, I agree with everything you said, the hours and everything like that. But is there like a person that's got the most vacation, like 15 plus years? Is there a number that they're allowed to take at one time? Could they take 36 days? That's more than a month. Could they take a whole month at a time, or depending on how you pick it? Like when I was working at seniority, top senior people pick what they wanted in that, or is there something that they're only allowed to pick so many?
There's not anything written in the policy like that. We could add something into the policy if you wanted to. For the most part, the only time that anyone has requested like a really long vacation leave, and I think the maximum's probably been like 3 to 4 weeks, and that was where someone was going overseas on vacation. We do have, let's see, there is a statement. The only statement that really even comes close to that, and it doesn't put any kind of time limit, is requests are approved at the discretion of the director and priority will be given to the needs of the library.
I think that statement alone is sufficient. At the end of the day, if somebody has that much vacation time and it's not, a burden on the library, I don't care if they take that much. Obviously that would be at your discretion and your ability to work with them on what could be approved and what couldn't be. If somebody want to take off the whole month of summer reading, obviously that's an issue.
Right.
But other times of the year where, if they requested in advance, something could be done to try our best to meet those requests. So I really think that statement basically saying it's at the discretion of the director and obviously the best interest of the library, I think that covers any concerns I would have, rather than put some sort of specific cap on things that I feel, I don't think we personally need that as long as we have that statement.
Is there any other discussion?
No,
Okay, then do we have a motion to accept the revisions to the sick leave, vacation leave, and the personal time off for the part-time staff policies as they were presented?
Yeah,
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Uh,
All right, let's move on to our COVID-19 response, please.
All right. So right now, as far as rates go, we're holding steady in orange. So that's a good thing. We are estimated to reopen at our current hours, probably between March 29th and April 1st. As soon as I get this painting project done, we've got to put the library back in order. We've got shelves stacked in the middle of the library. Got some of like where the new books are, they're actually put out into the middle of the library. So we've got a few things like that that we need to straighten up. But that shouldn't take more than a couple days. It really just depends when they finish. Something to kind of consider is a goal to reopen at normal hours. So that would be the Monday through Saturday, 9 to 8, and Sundays 1 to 5. From what other libraries are doing, a lot are looking at May or June. As far as our staff goes, and those who are willing to be vaccinated, pretty much everybody would be considered fully vaccinated according to the CDC by May. And two, it just, I guess, depends on how things progress in Pendleton. If we can stay on the track that we're on now and, keep improving, I would imagine that we should be able to reopen in May. Some other things to consider would just be meeting room availability for programs or meetings, including the board meetings. And that really depends on being able to put all of our furniture back into the main part of the library, which is going to require some lifting of the social distancing restrictions. And then also being able to stop quarantining returns.
I don't think there's any reason for us to rush opening any meeting spaces, because while we still want people to practice social distancing and stuff, I'm not sure we should have a meeting space for anybody. I mean, obviously for a specific library purpose, if there's room, of course, but I think aside from that, that should even be on our top list of things to be concerned about.
Mhm. So that's kind of where things kind of stand. I just want to give you all an opportunity to discuss anything that you all feel might be important as far as moving forward.
I think it sounds good.
Whatever works for you and the employees is what's best. I mean, as long as you got hours posted and what they're going to be drive-through or open, people can learn how to abide by them. You know what I mean? I've been living with the drive-through for a good while and it's been no problem whatsoever. So I'm sure something like this won't hurt.
Okay, then we can move on to our budget committee, please.
And this is just a matter of deciding who you want to appoint to the budget committee. The last couple years, it's been Stacy as treasurer and myself. Traditionally, it's the director, treasurer, and president. Some libraries have their assistant director assist on that. That's how you all want to do that.
I'm okay with either way.
Is it working the way it is now?
Yeah, I think so. As long as you all are comfortable with it.
That's fine with me as long as the people on the committee are okay with it. I don't, if it's working, no sense in breaking it.
All right, so then that would just be, I guess, appointing Stacy to the budget committee, Stacy and myself.
Okay. So we got to make a motion to do that?
Nope, just agreement.
Okay, that's good.
Yep.
All right. And I apologize, Stacy. I think I cut you off there. I did not mean to.
Oh, no, you're absolutely,
All right. Do we have anything else that we need to discuss? Nope.
Nope.
Okay. All right, then we will move forward and go ahead and set our next meeting for virtually on April 15th at 6:30. Does that work with everyone?
Yes.
All right, then. It is 7:19 my time. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. I want to thank everyone for attending our board meeting tonight.